So I hope at least you get to experience a long weekend, right? So that's what our Monday, Wednesday class definitely enjoyed. And why not? You also deserve that. So anyways, problem one was on the quiz, I believe, right? We were supposed to find, oh no, actually, either 13 or 14, right? So was it number 13 for the quiz? Please correct me if I'm wrong. 14. Oh, okay. So number 14. So number 13 we do by simplifying. Since I started this fraction, I divide fourth and third powers, seventh and third. So we subtract 7 and 3, get x to the fourth, and then we take its derivative. So analogously, with exercise number 14, we get x squared. And then when I take a derivative of x squared, then this will be 2x. So I think that's pretty nice exercise, right? If you remember the formula. And the formula was, as usual, I keep writing it, even though I'm sure you're already very familiar with this formula. And also, well, it's good to realize that you always need to get a power so you'll be able to nicely divide. Because otherwise you would have been using this quotient structure for derivatives, and that would give you the same answer if you simplify it really thoroughly. So the formula we saw last time was a f prime g minus g prime f, right? So that's the formula that I think we, well, should be familiar with. And you could also use this formula for a quotient, but I highly recommend you not to bother with this if you can avoid using that formula. And we also saw in that same section was another formula with similar setting, f prime g and g prime f, but added when you have derivative of product. So this prime, this derivative, is how I always try to write that. And we know that in the book they have various other approaches to write the same thing, but I guess it's better to keep it simple. So for example, in exercises like number 15, you'd rather rewrite this as a sum of two fractions first. So you don't want to utilize the quotients here, because you can simplify and write this as a 2x power of 4 plus just letter x, right? Just divide by x each piece when you do number 15 exercise. And then when you need to take its derivative, so that's your derivative, so called function f of x here. So if I take derivative of these two pieces, if I find f prime of x, we're going to multiply 2 by 4, right, which is 8 x power of 3, and then plus 1. There was another favorite statement that derivative of x itself is 1. So that's, again, avoiding using quotients. And that's what I've been doing so far by all means. Well, eventually we will get to see problems where we cannot avoid it, but it turns out that this section has some stuff that actually belong to the next one. So like exercise number 29 that deals with a square of x plus 3. You can, of course, rewrite it like they have it in the hint. So you're going to have to differentiate x squared plus 3 and 3, which is 6x, right? And then plus 9. So when you take a derivative of that sum, you're going to end up with 2x and 6, right? Because x squared 2x, 6, and then 9 disappears because constants by themselves have derivatives equal to 0, right? But to get the same exact answer, I could go with using methods of the next section. And that's what I want to say a few words about today. And then we'll discuss a little bit of midterm that is coming next week. So I hope more people will eventually join us, so we'll be able to talk about our plan for next week, because that's going to be a big week for all of us. So I have to take a derivative for this exercise. And turns out that I don't want to mess with this algebra, but use my formula, which we already utilized number of times, the same power rule for derivatives that says, if you have a power on the outside, then we have to put it on the ground and raise x plus 3 to the power of 2 minus 1, which is just 1. So you don't need parentheses. But then there is a special so-called chain rule comes into play and says whatever you have in the parentheses, you need to multiply by its derivative. Well, in the parentheses, I have x plus 3, so derivative of x is 1, and derivative of 3 is 0, so I just need to times it by 1, which really means nothing. And notice that same 2x plus 6 is going to be my answer. And I guess I did it without algebra. Just do this multiplication and etc. I just simply was able to use that new property. And I think that's very interesting and quite exciting. So now we can find derivatives of so-called compositions of various functions. And that's actually what section 1.7 is talking about. It has a special name, chain rule. So the chain rule means that you take a derivative of the function which is sitting on the outside, which is square. And once I worked it out, I multiplied by derivative of what's inside. So it's like a chain of steps. So let me use this, because I don't think, besides the idea of multiplying the previous derivatives with the next ones, this section does not really have anything new for us. So we could just practice and do some problems here. So section 1.7. Let me take a look at exercise number 5 to start. And this problem deals with taking derivative of a square root extracted from 1 plus 8x. So this is what I need to differentiate. And since it's a square root, I guess it'd be a good idea to recall the way the derivative for square root formula was. Remember, 1 divided by 2 of those square roots, right? 1 over 2 square roots. So that's what I'm going to utilize here as well. So I write this as 1 divided by 2 square roots from this 1 plus 8x. So it's not that bad, but now I need to remember that my radicand needs to be also differentiated, and that'd be the chain rule step. So we take a derivative of 1, which is 0, and derivative of 8x, which is just number 8, right? Because again, x disappears, it's derivative 1, so it's just number 8. That's what chain rule is about, because you may have different radicand, so you have to also take a derivative of it. So looks like here we can cancel a little bit and produce the answer. 4 is on the top, and the square root from this 1 plus 8x is on the bottom. So this is it. This is a so-called chain rule. That's very interesting, right? I guess that's probably the most popular property of finding those derivatives. So I can do it again. I can try another exercise. Let's say, how about problem number 13? This exercise I will prepare because it looks like we have a quotient here. And remember, quotients, I don't want to differentiate. I want to write it as a power of -1. So actually one can say, Alex, it's squared, so it's -2. Yeah, I should be careful. Power of -2. So the point is that we no longer have a quotient, so we no longer have to use the formula for derivative of some type of a fraction. And this makes, again, life much easier. So this chain rule is extremely useful. So all I do is just put -2 on the ground, and the power will be -2 subtract 1. So whatever it is, I just subtract 1, right? And this be -3, and that's fine. So I just copy this 3x plus 8 inside the parentheses. But this is not over yet, because all I differentiated was just the outside power -2. Now, time to see what's inside the parentheses, right? And multiply by derivative of 3x, which is just 3. And derivative of number 8 is 0 because it's constant. So I can treat it as a -6 on the top, multiplying this -2 and 3 -6. And then I bring down this 3x plus 8. So I have it cubed, because we don't want to leave negative powers. So if it doesn't take too much work, we can always rewrite it somehow like that. And this will be our result. So again, avoidance of these fractions has always been my goal. And of course, you can do some more practice doing this process. Some exercises here, you may not have a choice but to use this derivatives of quotients, but sometimes you can, and well, whenever you can rewrite this as a power, then you can always, and you should always do that. But the answer is the same no matter what. So I'd like to do number 31, which is going to be not as nice because I'm going to have to actually use that formula for the fraction in the parentheses. So let me write the derivative of that function f of x using the chain rule first. So it'll be a power of 4, right? So I'm trying to differentiate that. Power of 4 on the outside. So 3, right, will be a new power, 1 less for that fraction. 3x minus 1 is still divided by 5x plus 2. But now the problem is that we need to multiply this by derivative of that fraction. So the question is, what is derivative of that fraction inside? So if I have 3x minus 1 divided by 5x plus 2. So now I have to create derivative for that, right? And I will be using the formula for derivative of f over g, right? In other words, my function f is that 3x minus 1, and function g is 5x plus 2. Well, let me take their derivatives. They're not very bad. Derivative of f is just 3, right? And derivative of g is 5. So now we're going to set up that structure on the upper left corner. So I'm going to have to get a denominator with function g squared. So let me put it there. I'm going to have to square whatever is in the parentheses. And in the parentheses is my 5x plus 2. Okay. And then on the top, I have to have a difference, right? We are subtracting f prime. So f prime is 3. So I go 3 times. Now function g, which is 5x plus 2, so I put it in the parentheses, minus, now I need a g prime, so this is my number 5, and I multiply it by function f. You see what's going on? It's using that formula. So, okay, here's function f, so I put 3x minus 1. So we're done with that exercise. I have to multiply my cube by that expression. And just leave it like that would be good enough. And I think we don't need to worry about simplifying it and oversimplifying it, because the key part here is to be able to take that derivative. So this chain rule story is all I wanted to introduce you with today. So I would say it'd be good enough if you just do problems here in the first little group of exercises, because the rest will be involved very heavily with this algebra. And I don't want to turn this class into a heavy algebra class, because if that happens, lots of students start panicking and don't get a very good grades. And remember, my goal is to help you to succeed in this class with the best possible result. And that's why I plan to tell you what be on the midterm. In fact, I already did. If you noticed, I emailed you a practice exercise for the midterm. So this exercise I sent to you by email yesterday. So you can check your emails and you should be able to find the one with attachment that has a practice midterm. And I sent it to you earlier, so you can try to do that problem. And this will, I think, be a good refresher of limits that we did together. And I will also work out this exercise for you on Thursday. I think it's good plan if you try it first. So this way you will recall what we utilized to find those limits in the previous chapter. So for next week midterm, I'm going to have 2 questions. Question 1 and question 2. And I'm going to talk about this in very detail on Thursday. So next Tuesday will be our midterm. And also homeworks will be due. So homeworks from what we covered so far. So I'd like to go to the contents of the textbook and refresh what we did up to date, what sections were covered in this class. So it looks like we had a couple of chapters considered up to now. Chapters R, which is a review, right? And then we also looked at chapter number 1. So from review, we did first 5 sections, right? We did up to R.5, we didn't do R6. So first 5 sections from R. As well as up to date, we did first 7 sections, looks like, from the chapter 1. So it's 1.1 through 1. Actually, I think I skipped some of them, right? So I don't think I did 1.3 and actually we did look at 1.3 a little bit. I just started this, so I think we did pretty much everything at 1.7, but I told you to look at, let's say, 3 exercises or so from each section from beginning, because I don't want you to get very deeply into the algebra and word problems and everything like that for homework. In fact, we will start to look at the word problems in chapter 2 a little later after the midterm to see where we're using all these ideas, because up to now you can see the problems, they're just very tedious. So if you go beyond like problem 31, it's already kind of too much. But I guess if you can see how I did this workout, then we should be fine with the problem that I will ask you to do. This is going to be much nicer, because in class I'm trying to select all kinds of problems just for presenting, but on the exam I don't plan to give you exercises like 31 that I just did here. 13 is good enough. So first page of problems, I guess, is fair for the tests. So that's why you can just do a few problems that you like. And if there is something that you don't like, maybe on Thursday this week, when we do a review, you can ask me and I will be more than happy to do any problem from these sections to refresh your memories. I also noticed that some people seem not to realize that I make recordings and email them to you after the section ends. So you can always click on a link of that recording and watch the lecture. And that's, I guess, a very, very helpful, instead of just opening a textbook and trying to do problems, and you may not remember how I did it. So you can always check the lecture, and that recording will be what I guess share with everyone. So few problems from each section will be good enough. Let's say 3 problems is fine. And if you're not sure which problems to select or how to do them, you could just take and do same problems that appear in those lecture recordings. So start with the very last lecture and you will see quite a few exercises that I done, and you will see how I did it, since you will the answer. So you just technically copy that, and after I'm sure you copy a couple of these exercises, you will feel like doing another one from the same lecture, and I guess that way you are building the confidence, and that's the whole point of these recordings. So the homework will be due on the day of the midterm. You already know what they are. So 1.7 I started to talk about. Maybe I'll do another exercise from it again. And next time, please bring me questions from homework so we can do the review of this material of the first 2 chapters. And I will be definitely doing some problems from there. Also, look at the emails. You should be able to find my email. If you accidentally deleted it, just let me know. I will resend it to you. I sent it yesterday, so you should have the practice midterm exercise. There is only one exercise in it, but there'll be only two problems in the midterm. So look at what I sent to you, and then on Thursday, I'll tell you what be the other exercise, what type. That's not going to be exactly the same numbers, but pretty much the same thing. And exact same way I will administer midterm as promised. Since we are running it on Zoom, I will just email you the midterm next week on Tuesday. I'll send it to you maybe in the morning time. So if you want to start earlier, you can do it in the morning earlier next Tuesday, day of the midterm. If you want to start it at 3:15, fine, you can do it, whatever works for you. And I'm not gonna set any time limit for this, but I hope to get your work by email on Tuesday, because since we're not doing it in class, you have plenty of time, and that's why you don't have to be with that midterm for exact the class time. I know some people have new jobs, some people send to me, well, that's fine, you can do it a little later or a little earlier before you go to work, and that's okay. Just make sure that you email me your work on that midterm next week on Tuesday. So I guess that's how we're gonna run it, and it's not going to be a hard exam. If you look at the problem that I sent to you for practice, I'm sure you will see this as pretty fair exercise, just of the same kind we did it together. We had for quizzes, and since we already had so many quizzes, then I already kind of know what grade you have, but we should still have a midterm, and I will again send it to you by email next Tuesday. So you just need to check your email. And with the final will be the same thing. So I will also email you the final exam, and then I will just wait for you to do it and to email me your work back, so I will be able to grade it. And that's our plan. So this coming Thursday will be a review before the midterm. So try to do the problem that I sent to you by email. We'll figure out together what it is all about, and we'll spend plenty of time for it. And next week, when there be a midterm, I will send it to you by email, so you will have plenty of time. And technically, since I send it to you in the morning, maybe you will be done in the morning, then you don't have to log into the Zoom class meeting at 3:15. You just need to email me your work. So next week, I guess you just work on the midterm, and also send me your homework. So the sections that we have done so far, I hope you will be able to make by the next Tuesday. If you be done with them earlier, that's perfect. You can send me your homework earlier. Remember, I asked you not to email me homeworks because I didn't know what sections will be covered up to today's date. And that's why now I know we're pretty much done with section 1.7. I'll do another exercise, and that'd be the cutoff for the midterm homework. And then for the final, I'll start with 1.8, and then we'll go into chapters 2, 3, 4. So we'll go there and we'll see what's for the final. So that'd be the plan till the rest of the course. So next Tuesday, after I receive your midterm, I will be grading it the next day, on Wednesday. Wednesday next week, I should be able to post your grades on Canvas. I will update your entire course grade and include in it the midterm, the homework, and quizzes as well. So I haven't updated this grade for some time because I'm waiting for the next week. So on Wednesday, I will update the grade also. And of course, I will put your midterm grade on Canvas as well. So you will see what you got on the midterm, and we'll be able to discuss it after. So next week, after the midterm on Thursday, we can always see what happened if you want to improve your midterm grade. Well, I'll tell you how you can do it. So I'm not saying that that's it. That's once you took midterm, you got that grade, that you cannot do anything to get it better, to get it higher. I'll tell you what you can do to improve it if you want to. Because again, I have time to regrade it. It's fine with me. So we will start from there. But of course, first of all, you should be able to email me your work, right? Make picture and attach it to the email. I'm sure that most people send their pictures to friends and family, so you should be good sending pictures, right, of your work. So I guess that'd be the plan for next week and for Thursday when we do the review. So if you have any questions, then you can always ask me by email, or when we'll be taking the midterm. Of course, I will be around. I will be logged into Zoom in a case you have something that you want me to clarify. And if not, you just take the exam. So I guess today I'm not going to give you a quiz since we already are talking about midterm. I think we had plenty of quizzes. So instead of giving you a quiz, let me do another exercise from the section that we had started, section 1.7. You can send me your work on quizzes or extra credit at any time. So if you missed the class, by telling people, just send me that quiz result by email. Anytime you can email me what you think it's on the quiz, like extra credit, or you can email me some problems that you've done from this textbook, just call them as extra credit, and make sure that you please tell me that you are in Math 148 class, because sometimes I have a hard time to find who that is, who I should give those points to. So it doesn't take much time to just say, I'm in Math 148. So this way you will get the points that you deserve. As I said, my concern in this class is to make sure that you are done with material before the very last deadline, which is a final exam day, right? So if you had no time this past months, well, then you can make it up in March. So that's fine with me, as long as you learn this material before our cutoff time. And I have no problem to grade extra quizzes and to discuss with you if you would like to improve your grade. I think it's a very good idea if you care and if you want to get a better grade. I'm always here to help you with that. So just let me know and send me work. And whenever I receive it, I always send you back a thank you or got it or something, so you understand that I received it. So make sure that I receive your emails. Okay, so let me take another problem in 1.7, do it, and then I'll let you go, I guess, so you can start to put your homework together, since you already know what that is. So 1.7, again, this special chain rule procedure. So my concern will be with exercises on the first group only, because otherwise they get quite tedious, these problems, right? But some of these are also a little bit on unpleasant side. So let me try like exercise number 17. That looks somewhat different. So in this exercise, looks like we need to apply chain rule twice to the first piece, which is 1 plus x cubed, which is raised to the power of 3 on the outside. And then again to another parentheses here with a 2 plus x to the power of 8, which is also raised to the power of 4 on the outside. So when I take the derivative of this whole difference, my first concern will be work out with a cube, and then the parentheses number 1 will be squared. So whatever is inside is going to be copied, but also the chain rule will tell me multiply by derivative of what's inside of this parentheses. 1 goes away, so multiply it by 3x squared. So I'm done with the first piece. So now I'm going to put a minus sign and look at the second parentheses, which is raised to the power of 4. So I'm going to have to put power of 4 in front, right? Just the way this favorite derivative of a power works. So I'll multiply it by the same x plus 2 plus x to the power of 8, but now it's raised to the power of 3. So the expression inside of parentheses gives me 8x to the 7th, right? 8 goes down and x 7th, and 2 disappear. So I guess this one is not hard to write in a little bit better shape. So 3 and 3 is 9 with x squared. And we also have that 1 plus x cubed also squared. I guess that's enough for simplifying the first one. And same with the second. 4 times 8 is 32, and I can also put x 7th with it. And then parentheses, which is cubed, so that 2 plus x power of 8 power of 3. So yes, these problems are tedious, and that's why I tell you not to worry about the next page here, because you'll just going to be stuck with these quotients and products, and that might take you a while. And I don't think there is a point in it, because when we see where we use derivatives, I guess we're not going to use much of more complicated functions. Like the one I just worked out, exercise 17, is already pretty lengthy, right? So anyways, I guess I'm going to stop at this stage without a quiz. I guess you had enough quizzes. I'll let you go and start to put your homework together. So maybe you'll finish up with a few problems in 1.7. If you want, you can do the same ones that I just did. And well, once you have all of these exercises done, start making pictures and send them to me by email a little by little. And that'd be a good practice before the midterm, because you'll also need to make a picture of it and email it to me, right? So I know that these pictures take quite a volume. They're big-sized files. So if you're going to be making pictures, you're probably going to have to send me more than one email attachment, right? Because they'd be pretty big files. So it might take some time, but that's why I give you time to start working on it. And also, if you have access to scanner, that might make your work much easier, right? If you scan and just send me that scan, that could be just one PDF file. But any way you like. Any way you like to send me your work is fine with me. Some people create a cloud file, just send me a link to that. So any way you like to do this. But please, again, make sure you tell that this is your homework for Math 148. So I know what class you're in. And the same thing next week with a midterm. So make sure that you direct me so I know what class you're actually working on. So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. And if you have any questions, then please let me know, because I guess I'm gonna stop for today and we'll do detailed review on Thursday.